can step up in front of the camera and say, yes, I use marijuana and I use it for this reason.
Well,
what was driving you?
What drove me ultimately was my wife, because about 10 to 12 years ago, my wife started suffering seizures 2 to 3 times a week. And these were the debilitating seizures where she's down on the floor. I'm holding her head, keeping her breathing, make sure she doesn't swallow her tongue, all the stuff that goes with it 2 to 3 times a week. Naturally, we did what every family does. We went to the doctor. We go to the doctors. They put her on 4 different seizure medicines, one after the other, after the other, after the other. None of them worked. None of them. In desperation, at the time, I had friends in Colorado that I knew from my home in Mexico, neighbors. They lived in Telluride. We drove to Telluride because I had heard about the success that marijuana was having with children and stopping seizures. I drove my wife to Colorado. We illegally met our friends because at that time you had to be a resident of Colorado. They went in and illegally bought drops under the tongue, brought it out to my wife. She actually had a seizure the night before in the motel. Brought her the liquid, 3 drops under the tongue, and from then they started sending it to me, FedEx, illegally, so that I could get it in Minnesota. Eventually, Minnesota got it, and all that's another story. But for the time being, I was forced to break the law, receive cannabis from Colorado from my friends to keep my wife seizure free. But I'll tell you what sold me. Montel, the day she had after that last seizure, she took the first 3 drops under the tongue. She has not had a seizure since.